Welcome back to Here and Now on the CW. I'm your host, Kathy Rouse, and I'm glad you're waking up with us this morning because we're talking about appreciating art. And I have here with me from the College of William and Mary, Elizabeth Mead, Assistant Professor of Art. I'm so glad you're here to help us with our topic of discussion today.
Thank you for having me.
And one of our artists right here in Hampton Roads, George Stanley Jr., artist and screen printer, and you're going to be sharing some of your work.
Yes, I am.
Oh, you're so proud. Look at you. You're like, yes, I'm glad to be here. Well, I'm glad you're here, and we should let everybody know, George, you're my MySpace buddy because I have MySpace page, and you found me through MySpace. So everybody, you know, feel free to look me up and contact me and send your work, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, art, appreciating art. How long have you been teaching over at the College of William and Mary?
This will be my third year at William and Mary.
Mm-hmm. And is art actually your background, or did you just start later on in years?
No, this was my background. Both of my degrees are in sculpture in particular, although I do also teach drawing, but I teach the full range of sculpture classes from three-dimensional design to bronze casting and welding.
Okay, so it has changed, and I guess I was just so curious with how art has changed over the years, because when we think of art in elementary schools, we think of drawing, but you just named about 4 or 5 different things. So well, go ahead and tell us what's the latest trend when it comes to art and what's being taught.
Well, I think what's being taught has remained essentially the same, and drawing is certainly the one constant throughout the history of art, and certainly something we emphasize, particularly at William and Mary. We find that life observation is really the foundation for developing any kind of work, whether it's representational or abstract. And so in that sense, it hasn't changed much. But as you mentioned, the materials, and in particular sculpture, the variety of materials and processes has really changed from you know, welding steel to found objects and constructive materials, but also bronze casting, which has been around for, you know, a few thousand years. You know, essentially that hasn't changed at all, yet the kinds of forms that are made, you know, have evolved.
Now, George, you as an artist, you have beautiful work. So what is your choice? What do you use?
I use watercolor most of the time. You know, sometimes mixed media. I may use Conte crayon or acrylics, and that's what I mainly use.
So you actually went to school for art as well.
Yes.
And
yes.
so does that mean when you were a child, you said, "This is what I want to be when I grow up"?
Well, yeah, yeah.
Tell us about it.
Well, you know, a lot of times, you know, when you're small, you don't have much to do. So when I grabbed onto pencil, paper, anything I can get, I just wanted to draw. That was it. Anything. You know.
So, and how much of that did you do in school?
In school, I've been in the Minneapolis College of Art and Design. I went to Thomas Nelson, and I, you know, studied under certain people. I have a friend. Her name is Janice Lee Porter, and she does children books, and you know, she's kind of gave me that inspiration to keep going with art. And
so you have a higher education degree, but in primary school, did you do a lot in primary school, in elementary?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you hear about programs being cut, both of you, when you hear about programs being cut when it comes to art, how does it make you feel?
It's a terrible thing. You know, I think we need that. We need that creativity in kids' lives. So to take that out, that's a terrible thing.
Right. Elizabeth?
Yeah.
Well, I think we need it in more ways than we realize. I mean, there's the obvious appreciation, the way it enhances our lives, the quality of life. But I think, too, it affects us directly in ways we don't think about. In other words, someone who designs your coffee cup or the can opener, those things we buy and purchase because they're aesthetically pleasing, but they also feel good in our hands. The curve of a fender on a car. I mean, all those things impact us every day, and we don't necessarily even realize that we're seeing that. Then at the same time, there are those people who aren't necessarily involved directly in the arts, but who, through taking classes in art, develop greater analytical skills, observational skills, and objectivity. I mean, just recently there was an article in the New York Times about how young doctors are being encouraged to take art courses because it helps them in becoming better at diagnosing. They listen more carefully to their patients, their observational skills are better. So I think that it enhances our lives in amazing ways. It creates an amazing historical record that sort of sits alongside of the written history of a given period. It gives us different insight into what we're experiencing and feeling, but at the same time, its impact on all of the fields is radical, and without it, I would be frightened to think of what's going to happen.
Oh yeah, you did paint a vivid picture. Well, speaking of vivid pictures, let's look at George's work. He sent us some ahead, and you said it's watercolor.
This is watercolor.
So as these scroll through, they're going to keep going, but go ahead and tell us. I mean, I love this one. I mean, you call it Mother and Child, but is it safe to say Madonna? Or
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And you can go ahead and give us the titles as they're scrolling through.
I call this the two-headed African mask. Okay, this is Mother with Child 2 also. I call that Afrocentric, Colors of Africa.
And they're just so bright and beautiful, and I love
They're
that
just
one.
cups of
It's
coffee.
not whimsical, but I love that it's just, it looks fun. It just brought a smile to my face when I saw that one.
Thank you.
I mean, I don't know what you're, it's just like, I don't know what they're going for, but I know what it did to me. Is that the idea behind art?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
You know, a lot of times, like, I listen to music, like some of the African masks and African things, I listen to music, and once I listen to it, I'm seeing colors. I'm seeing all these different colors and